Hello and I welcome you all to Y-Shots. In today's video, I'll be talking about case discussions or case interviews. Case interviews are really common these days and you'll find them as part of almost all recruiting processes. But I'm still surprised to find that there are so many people who are not very confident with dealing with or delivering case interviews. They have a lot of questions and they don't have the right tools for effectively performing in these interviews. So that's for that reason I thought of creating a proper series around case interviews, and this is the very first video of that series. So in today's video, the key topics that I'll be touch basing upon are, first of all, I'll talk about what are case interviews. So I'll start with the simple definition of a case study. So this will help you understand why a case study is given to you as a case analyst in this case. Then why these case interviews are conducted. So I'll try to make you understand what's the thought process behind a recruiter when he's giving you these case interviews. Then I'll be talking about some of the most common case study types. So a case study can be of any type, it can be on any topic, but consistently I have seen that there are 8 most common types of case studies that are asked in the interviews. And if you prepare yourself well for all these 8 types, you should be good for almost any situation that is given to you. Then I'll talk about how a typical case discussion is structured, what are the key stages, and then I'll also talk about what is the approach or what are the key considerations that you should have in mind when you're delivering these case studies during the interview. And last but not the least, I'll share with you some helpful tips that I personally have used and have learned over time through experience, which will help you in delivering these case interviews effectively. So, what are we waiting for? Let's just jump into it. First, why case interviews? This is the question that came to my mind as well when I heard that I have a case interview lined up. So my first question was what exactly is a case study? So case study is nothing but it's a situation. So there is an organization which is in a specific situation. It can be related to its operations, its performance, its ecosystem, value chain, anything. Okay. So there is a situation in which an organization is, and you as a case analyst is expected to understand that situation, identify what is the problem. So that organization is facing some problem. You have to identify the exact problem and then recommend what is the best course of action for that organization basis whatever data is provided to you. So the next question that comes to mind is, why are such interviews performed? See, there's a very old quote, the essence of knowledge is having to apply it. So the reason why these case interviews are conducted is the recruiter, and especially these case interviews are performed by people who are doing or who are working in an organization at a ground level. Okay, so they might be managers, they might be senior managers who are actually delivering projects for that organization. So usually they are the ones who are conducting these case interviews because they want to assess how you think, whether your thought process is logical or not, whether the way they approach problems aligns with your thought process as well or not. They are just trying to assess how you will think when you face a similar problem on job. But the catch over here is that with practice, with right frameworks and tools, everyone can develop a logical way of approaching to these case discussions, and that is what I'll be touch basing upon in this and the subsequent videos as we move on this channel. So now let me quickly jump on the most common case study types. As I mentioned, there are 8 primary types of business case studies that I have seen, and I have listed them over here on the screen for you. So I'll not deep dive into each of these case study types in this video, and I'll be creating dedicated videos on each of the case study types where I will be talking about the kind of problems that come or fall under each of the case study types, what is a framework or a logical approach for addressing these case studies. And then I will also share with you some tips and examples of these case study types. So that will come in the later videos, but for this video, I'll be just giving you an overview. I'll definitely cover each of these in more detail in the upcoming videos. And there are set frameworks which I would propose that you guys should use for dealing with the case studies of any of these types. So these are 8 general types, but a case study might also have a combination of these 8 types, and they are not mutually exclusive. All right. So for today's video, I'll be focusing on the case discussions. So now let me talk about how a typical case discussion is conducted. What are the key steps and what are the key considerations that you as a case analyst should take into account when you are solving these case interviews. So I would like to divide a typical case discussion into 4 stages. So first stage is that interviewer will give you a situation. So as I mentioned earlier, it will be related to an organization. Then in the second stage, you as a case analyst will analyze that situation, and then you will formulate a problem statement out of that. Then in the third case, basis that problem statement, you will come up with possible corrective actions or possible courses of actions that organization can take. And you will also understand the decision criteria. So there can be n number of actions, but for an organization, you have to understand basis some criteria, which actions are feasible and which are not. And in the last stage, you will be summarizing the actions and you'll be making conclusions. You will be concluding by summarizing whatever you have analyzed in this case and present your final recommendations to the interviewer. So this is how a typical case interview goes. But for each of these stages, there are some considerations that you as an analyst or case interviewer case analyst should keep in mind. So for the first one, see, as I mentioned, the interviewer will share with you a case situation. So it's your job, the moment you understand the situation, is to familiarize yourself with that situation very accurately. You should be able to comprehend what the interviewer is trying to tell you. And the best way for doing this is, as the interviewer is telling you, please take notes and listen to the interviewer very carefully. And once the interviewer has completed sharing the situation with you, summarize the key points, the symptoms of the problems, constraints and major issues, whatever the interviewer has told you, summarize it and read it back to the interviewer. That way, first of all, you are initiating a conversation with the interviewer. And secondly, you're making sure that you have not missed out on anything. Okay, this is the first stage and you don't want to miss out on any of the key points. So once the interviewer has given you a go ahead and he's fine with whatever summary you have presented of the situation, next, your job as a case analyst is to start analyzing whatever data or whatever information has been provided to you in the situation. Okay, so a good starting point over here is, what I would recommend is, take a few minutes. You will have some case frameworks from my upcoming videos. Okay, first of all, you will have, upon hearing the situation, you will have an understanding of what is this case type. Okay, also once you go through the case frameworks, you will have an understanding of the kind of framework this problem falls into. So keep that framework in mind and think about what data points you need in order to properly assess this whole situation. Once you have those data points in mind, referring to that framework, a good starting point is to ask relevant and focused questions. So you should definitely ask those questions because it will help you in narrowing down to the actual problem that this organization is facing. Okay, and this will also give interviewer a good understanding of the different perspectives you can think of in this situation. Then once you have asked those questions and you have utilized that framework, you should be able to identify some of the key issues or main hurdles that you think this organization is facing, due to which it is not able to overcome the issue that, or the situation that it is in. Okay, so you have to identify those major issues and hurdles. Okay, and you should have some information or details around those. So definitely ask for more data, keep interacting with the interviewer, keep asking questions, and quantify as much as possible um, the case and the issues that you are identifying. Next, once you have identified the issues that the particular organization might be facing, you should come up with a decision criteria. So criteria is nothing but an established rule for selecting the best alternative to solve a problem. Try to understand from the interviewer what are the constraints in which you are operating, and from those you can derive your decision criteria. So once you have your decision criteria in place, you will weigh all the possible courses of actions for solving a case, and then come up with what according to you are the best suited options. So once you have done that, you should speak to the interviewer about why you think the company or the organization should go with these set of actions. You should talk about the pros and cons and try to logically convince the interviewer that this organization should take a particular route for solving this particular situation. Okay, so there are a couple of things that I would like to highlight. The first of all is, do not quickly force yourself to make a judgment on the solution. Okay, interact with the interviewer, keep asking questions, and even if you are making some assumptions, just make sure that you properly call them out. For now, the idea was to make you understand how a typical case discussion is structured, what are the key stages, and what are the key things you as a case analyst should keep in mind at each of the stage when you are solving these cases. Okay, so some of the helpful tips that I would like to talk about now is, as I mentioned, think out loud. This case interview should never be a monologue. I cannot emphasize more on it. It should always be a dialogue between you and the interviewer, because the interviewer is not here for a solution. The interviewer is here to understand your thought process. So you should think out loud whatever you are thinking about the problem. Then make it an interactive discussion. So as I said, keep asking for data, keep validating your assumptions, keep checking whether you are moving in the right direction or not. It is not wrong. It will not be negative. In fact, it will help the interviewer to guide you in the right direction, just in case you are going in a wrong way. So it will help you definitely. Next up, as I said, there is no right or single answer to a problem. Okay, so the key message over here, the focus here, is to demonstrate how you think, and that's why these case frameworks which I mentioned become very important, because they are logical sets which help you, or their guidelines, logical guidelines which help you in structuring the way you approach a situation. So if you're following case frameworks, which I'll be creating more content around, so that will really help you in asking questions in right direction, and demonstrating that yes, you have an understanding of how to solve this problem. Even if you don't arrive at a solution, that's fine, because there is no right or wrong solution. Next is use case frameworks. I have mentioned this point again and again, so I'll not touch base more on this. Do not rush to conclusions. This is yet another very important point. The interviewer is not here for an answer. The interviewer is just here to understand how you think and how you arrive at a conclusion rather than what's the conclusion. Next is you should relax, enjoy, and you should demonstrate that you enjoy working on such problems and situations. Okay, because when you actually join that position, you will be working maybe on similar issues or situations. So you should also demonstrate that you are enjoying that process and you love solving problems. So that would always give you some bonus points. And some bonus tips from my side: always go through the company's website before going to an interview, because what I've seen is mostly these companies, they ask problem statements around the work that they are into. And lastly, definitely if you already know whom you are going to get interviewed with, definitely look at their LinkedIn profiles, look at the kind of work they have done, what is their experience. This will help you in preparing for case studies as well, because again, the managers or whoever is doing this interview will try to ask you cases that would relate to the projects they have delivered in their past. Definitely look at their profiles. That will give you some idea about who the interviewer is and what kind of mindset they might be coming with. I would like to say that I'll be creating more deep dive videos as we move forward. For now, I think that's all. Please leave in the comments if you have any questions, and I'll try to answer all of them. So until next time, stay healthy, stay safe. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.